Welcome to My Favorite CX, a podcast that celebrates exceptional customer experiences. To listen to today's, please choose from one of the following options.
Welcome to My Favorite Customer Experience, the podcast where we talk about awesome customer experiences and people from the world of customer experience. I'm Chris Holt from Holt CX Consultancy in the UK, and today I'm joined by Ty Givens from a CX Collective. Ty, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
So, Ty, you formed the CX Collective to help companies transform their customer support from reactive services into proactive growth through smarter systems, strategic leadership, and future-ready technologies. That's easy for me to say on the second attempt, but why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So, hello, everybody. I'm Ty Givens, and I've been in support operations for 25 years. I said I'm going to stop saying that because I don't know if that helps me or hurts me, to be honest with you, but it is my truth. I started out actually in workforce management and built my career from there, went on to run contact centers. Quickly realized I wasn't a people leader, but I love to scale and grow. That was fun. I like that part. Operations, do that all day. But I also figured out that startups who need the scaling and need the operational support don't have the finances to afford the teams that can do it. So I actually built my company around giving those types of organizations, ones that were starting out brand new or ones that are trying to modernize and scale, but don't necessarily want to pay six figures for the WFM person or, nearly that, if not more for, training and development or whatever that is. They can just come to us, tell us what they need, and we operate as a fractional support team to go in and build those things for them. We can maintain, but we also are happy to hand it back.
Awesome. So I guess businesses of all sizes, but aiming at the startups and those that are looking at trying to do something on a shoestring.
Yeah, I kind of stay away from enterprise, and that doesn't mean that it would always be a no, but if I did enterprise, it would definitely be guidance and advisory. I am a results-oriented individual, so I really like to see the results happen. And with enterprise, it just takes too long. Which I know someone's probably going, aren't you a consultant? Don't you want the hours? Hey, I'm after freedom, not finance.
No, I can understand that. There's a want of getting that result done. And yeah, sometimes if there's too much red tape, I feel guilty myself as a consultant of this is taking too much time. There's a finite amount of resource you want to spend on doing this, and it shouldn't be necessarily on me, for example.
Yeah, and kudos to you for saying that. We were working on a deployment for a client that was supposed to happen. It did actually happen last night. And one of the members of my team reached out to me and she's like, hey, I don't know if I should work on this too, along with the tech consultant, because we'd be billing double hours. And I said, well, he's not going to bill unless he's working. You're not going to bill unless you're working. And I was like, and I only work with people I trust, so you don't have to worry about that. And the idea with our clients as well is we don't want them to worry about it because they should know that we're going to look out for their best interest. And it sounds like your clients will know that too.
Yeah, it's something that I've always found quite interesting with how people put forward kind of consultancy. And I had someone working with me recently, and I'd given them a task to do, and I talked about to them about you've got to look at what's the best use of your time and your customers' money. If something is if something I look at is a 3-hour job and it takes you 6 or 10 hours, then that's not a good use of that time.
Exactly.
And try and be open with that as early as possible, especially if you know it's going to be a longer task. Be upfront about it.
Yeah, I respect that. There have been times where I'll see how long it takes something and I'm like, we're not billing that. And I'll eat the cost. And then, similar to what you said, in the future, I'll have that conversation like, who's the best suited for this? Because if you hire a professional to do the work, it's going to take a lot less time than an amateur trying to figure it out, so.
I like that. That feels like a good a marketing point there.
Yeah.
So Ty, why don't you tell us a little bit about what excites you in the world of customer experience? You said 25 years doing this now. You've probably seen quite a lot of change and evolution.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of change. I started when there was just phones, which I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember when email was new. I feel like a dinosaur, let me say that. But I started with phones. I remember when email was new. I remember when chat was like innovative and all that. I think what excites me the most is that I don't know always how things are going to evolve, but I know that whatever it is, we'll all meet the moment. Um, I can think about leaders that I've worked with in the past who were career customer service people who in the early 2010s ended up going back to rep jobs because the world and the expectation of support had changed so much. So one of the things that I've found is like when you work inside a company as a direct hire or employee there, you become an expert on their tools and their products and their resources. But what you might miss is what is happening in the industry because you don't have to focus on that. And so one of the things that I think I love most about being in this space is that I am forced, my team is forced to be confronted with all things that are new and moving in this space. So I think that what I love about it the most is that it's constantly evolving. And that means that I constantly have to learn. And so that's exciting to me.
I think that evolution is what kind of keeps me doing this as well. Of like, if it was the same, it would be boring. And I started my career under desks putting out phones, and I'm quite happy to not be doing that now. But there's still a place, I guess, for phones, although you rarely see them on desks anymore. But if I think about the evolution I've seen, and yeah, it was voice, and then I remember the first contact centers I was kind of trying to deploy chat badly into, I guess, in around 2009, 10.
Yeah,
That was it was so difficult, and it was so. I mean, no one expected it to be good. That was the thing. The bar was low, but it was difficult to do. And I now look at, playing with some of the new technologies. It's like, oh, you want an ID and V bot? Well, why don't you just spin one up on a platform in about 5 minutes and then put the safeguards around it? And that is, if you'd told me that 15 years ago or 20 years ago, I'd have thought you from a different planet.
exactly. Exactly. Because you and I, it sounds like we come from around the same time where I remember there were dedicated roles for, telecom when you were operating like in a bio or a Meridian switch or something quite old school that required a full-on engineer to program versus now, operating voice on Zendesk or Aircall or some other type of platform like that, where you don't have to have any programming experience, but you do need to know what you want it to do. And ironically, I find that that is the hardest for a lot of the clients does. They get these products and they're thinking, now my problems are solved, but it's like, actually, no, now we figured out how we're going to make it happen. The question is, what do you want to make happen? And that is it in itself is a whole other beast.
And I quite enjoy that when I will often get a message going, can we have this? And it's normally yes now. With these platforms, it's a yes. I'm like, okay, but I want to know what the what and the why is before that. What is it you're looking for and why are you looking for that? Because just because you think this might be the outcome that you want,
Yeah,
if I know what your why and the what are, then I can figure out if there's a different way of doing it as well. And there's an easier way to meet that need. And that's a fun challenge.
yes. I'm with you 100% on that. Like we're doing an implementation right now, and the question is, are we going to deploy two separate bots for the sales and marketing function versus the support function, or will it be one bot that can, route to either group? And so internally there was dialogue around that, and I was like, you guys, the client says they only want one. And I'm like, what the client wants is for it to function. It is up to us to figure out how that works. And if the best call for action is to do one, we do one. If it's two, we do two. But the reality is that we shouldn't let the client dictate the technical aspect, because that's what they hired us for. Our job is to execute the vision, right? And provide the documentation so that they understand this is the best way to get what you want. And of course, if they're, adamant about it, that's fine. But the reality is, in most cases, clients want the outcome and are not as married to how you get there.
And I guess that's our role as consultants and trusted advisors of you might think you know what you want, but it's also, have you considered this, this, and this? So get an issue presented to you and you're like, okay, actually there might be different ways to do it. We might look at a different solution.
Yes.
And it might be, it's interesting actually, one of the nice Cognigy, they're showing with their agentic models, they'll go and create individual bots per function, but then just hand off to each other like almost seamlessly. It's like pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
And you're like, that you maybe wouldn't have built that a couple of years ago because then you'd be maintaining 5 different bots, but actually you can now do that in a really controlled way.
Yeah.
It means also if you're maintaining it, you're only taking one part out of a jigsaw to go and fix that part.
Yep. And that's helpful. And that's scalability, right? You don't have to break the whole thing to fix one part.
So as we wrap up the first half of the episode, where do you think there's the biggest opportunity to create an exceptional customer experience at the moment?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I'm a little biased because so I used to be very against bots and generative AI. And now it's like one of my favorite things. And I believe that the role of CX in the future, so right now we have reps, agents, not sure what different functions call them, who support customers directly. And I think the future is they're going to, in essence, become leaders of AI agents. And so I find that to be exciting. And at the same time, not just from the perspective of what that can do for the customer experience, but also what that can do for the skill set of the agent. So I think that the opportunity that we're facing right now is the leveling up of the team, because there are people who would say, my passion is service and support. It is not to do those things. So helping those people find their way. And at the same time, for the others who are interested in gaining an additional skill set that will take them into the future, giving them the tools and resources to do that.
So maximizing the human agent.
Absolutely.
So Ty, what we'll do is take a short break there. And when we come back, we'll ask you about one of your favorite customer experiences.
Okay.
Your call is important to us. Please hold and you'll be connected to your next favorite customer experience shortly.
Welcome back, folks, to my favorite customer experience. I'm here with Ty Gibbons of the CX Collective. And Ty, we ask every guest this. Why don't you tell us about a favorite customer experience?
My favorite customer experience is actually with my hairstylist. And I think it's because she allows me to be human. And I feel like I give her the same, graciousness. And what I mean by that is, you run a little bit late, or do you want me to come early? Or, when I get there, there's, coffee, drinks, water. Sometimes she has sandwiches, she has snacks. She really, she'll allow us to turn on whatever show is interesting at that time. And so for me, what that ends up being is not just a hair appointment, but also like a breakaway in the day to just completely unplug from everything. And for once to just focus on whatever I feel like doing at the moment. And the reason why that it makes for such a great customer experience is because I feel like there's a lot of thought into what do you need to feel your best during this time together, and she creates that ambiance. And I think that that's an opportunity that could be applied to other companies and other businesses. If we look at what does the client need to feel good and to feel successful, that's what we should be delivering above anything else.
It sounds very intentional as well.
Yes. Yes.
So I normally ask what makes it exceptional in terms of the customer experience, but it sounds like it's the entire experience, the way you're treated before and after. If there's time constraints, or if you got a chance to maybe see someone a bit early, that's making sure that you can make the best of your day as well. Which, if you've got deadlines to hit, being able to have a hair appointment an hour early might be the difference maker between blocking off at 5 or blocking off at 7 or 8 potentially.
It does make a difference. And sometimes if I have to work there, because that happens too, then she will have it quiet for me. And then I can put on my earbuds and get things done. And it's nice. It doesn't feel like I'm taken away from the things that are important. And then when I walk out, my confidence is high because I feel much better about the way I look.
Do you find it influences your behaviors? Do you find yourself recommending your hairstylist?
I do all the time. And she's such a genuine person that I feel I only recommend people or recommend her to people who I feel like would be good for someone who's so genuine. So if I'm not sure about the person, or if I don't know them very well, I may say, I'll give her your info. But if it's a friend of mine, trusted resource, or someone I know who's a genuine person, I'll connect them, because I feel in a way protective of her, because she is so kind and helpful that all it takes is one bad client. How do policies change from one bad experience, one bad customer, one bad employee, and then now everyone has to adhere to these rules? So I feel like it's my job in some way to protect her from that as well.
And that's really, really interesting of it. It's such an exceptional customer experience, and it makes you feel so good that you're you are guarding that with who you refer, because you don't want to break that for yourself and others, essentially.
Exactly.
And that's an intense level of loyalty that your hairstylist has cultivated there, so that you're making sure her clientele are ones that will fit perfectly with her as well, that's immense.
There's a certain personality where that person is just going to give 100% every time. And that person is just going to go out of their way to make sure that people are happy and that they feel good. And you don't want to pair that personality with someone who will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because then she can't be her authentic self. And we all have life happening around us too. So it's like, if she's going to pour into our professional relationship in the way that she does, then it's only right that I pour into our relationship the same way, by protecting her if I feel like someone may not be a good fit. Because there are plenty of stylists out there. This one just happens to be very special. So, there's lots of places to go. I live in LA. There's thousands of places to go.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Like it's so good that you don't want to potentially lose that as well.
Right.
There's and my barber moved on into a different industry a few years back, and like my guy that I go to now, really good. I don't get to choose the show. It's always Border Patrol US or Storage Wars or something weird. But that's just because that's what plays on TV at 8 in the morning in the UK. But it gives me what I need out of that that encounter, which is and I keep going back.
Yeah. It means a lot. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to create great experiences for people. Sometimes it's just about paying attention to what's important to them. I like true crime and I like documentaries. So when I go get my hair done, we watch true crime documentaries. That's a small thing for most people. It costs her $0. It is a big deal for me. So
No, that's really cool. I guess when we look at it from a customer experience lens as well, you talked there about wanting or feeling human for
Yeah.
an hour and walking away from an interaction, feeling at your best. How do we
Yeah.
apply that to a contact center or to a customer experience?
Yeah, I think it comes from putting on the customer's shoes. I'll give you an example of when I did not do that. When I was much younger, I was at Office Depot. Sorry, Office Depot, but this is a true story. Right before I transitioned into my role of workforce management, I took one of my last phone calls as an agent, and I was kind of over being yelled at customers because in my 19-year-old mind, I didn't make the mistake that you're talking about. So why are you calling me so angry? Because while we had a lot of training on the systems and the processes, no one trained us in, understanding that we were the company. That part we didn't get at the time. So I had an attitude with the man, and he said to me, "You need to go home and start all over." And that stuck with me. I was 19. I haven't been 19 in a very long time, but I remembered that. And so, what I think is important is to, if it's possible, to allow your the person who's servicing your customer to understand what it's like for that customer. When I used to work for Express, my job was to stand at the door between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. and greet customers and refold shirts in the front of the store. I would rather pluck each eyebrow out individually than to do that work. I hated it. It was terrible. It bored me to death. But at the same time, back then when I worked there, I had to work 5 hours to pay for a pair of jeans, right? So I was not their customer. I just happened to work there. Now, if I go into a store or shop and no one greets me, I walk out. I didn't understand the experience that created by just saying hello because I wasn't the person they were targeting. So I think that we have an opportunity to allow the person doing the service to wear the shoes of the person receiving the service so that they can understand how that person should be treated.
I think the moment you said that about if you don't get greeted, you walk out, I was reminded of one of the electronic stores in the UK where it's almost a game for how long can you walk around and how ridiculous can you walk around before you get engaged.
Oh, boy.
But then because this is a positive podcast, it took me to 10 years ago being in Japan and going to any store there, even like a convenience store, 7-Eleven, like the level of service you got, I had absolutely no idea what the person serving me was saying because unfortunately I decided not to learn any Japanese apart from arigato beforehand. But what was beautiful was they maintained their standard
Yeah.
throughout. They didn't go, well, this is just a tourist who has no idea what's going on. We are going to treat them, they will get the full spiel of everything, even though I'm just there, just nodding, go, I have no idea what's going on. But
Yeah.
the art of customer service was something that was really exceptional there.
Yeah, I there's a restaurant. I'm not sure if you guys have that in the UK, but there's a restaurant here called Sugarfish. It's a Japanese restaurant, and the rolls are really plain. They say it's based in like old world Tokyo, but it's the freshest, most delicious sushi you'll ever come across. Once you get there, everything is very practical, down to in the washroom. There's a scented soap for after you eat and an unscented for before you eat. And once you're seated, I would say within 3 minutes, someone comes to greet you, offer you water, tell you the specials. And then if you're not ready to order, they come back, pretty quickly. But once your food starts to come out, once it's prepared, it's brought to you. And any one of the servers will take your food away, your plates away when done. Anyone will ask you if you need anything additional. It's not just one person. It is a collective effort. And I think that's That's also a huge win. I forgot about that experience there because it's very consistent. I've never gone there and not had a good experience. And it's not that they're not necessarily over the top with the Chick-fil-A, like, my pleasure, thank you so much. It's not so much that, it's that it is consistently good. And just like their sushi, it's consistently good. And when you go there, the food's gonna be proper, and that you're gonna be treated well.
I think that's the thing as a consumer, you know what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
which takes any fear of the unknown out, fear of a bad experience. You're going in expecting consistency in staff and in service and in the food itself.
Yeah.
And that takes away a lot of concern that you might have.
Yeah, definitely.
You said it was a collective effort, so
Yeah.
that brings us back to yourself. Where can people find out more about yourself and the CX Collective?
Yes. Okay, so you can visit cxcollective.com/Ty. Because there are so many different opportunities to connect, that page will give you the most comprehensive, including connecting with me on LinkedIn, or even setting up a quick intro call to say hi. I'm a terrible salesperson. You don't have to worry about getting sold. If you just want to say hi, we can do that too. So yeah, those are ways to get in touch with me.
Awesome. And we'll put those links into the show notes. There'll have been QR codes for people watching on video. And Ty, thank you very much for persevering with me. For UK viewers and listeners, I've been on original Lucozade today, so I'm properly ill. It's cold season here in the UK. So we've had quite a few pauses throughout. But Ty, thank you very, very much for joining us on My Favorite Customer Experience.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Thanks very much for listening, folks.
Thank you for listening to My Favorite CX. Your listenership is important to us. On your keypad, please press the number between 1 and 5 to rank how much you've enjoyed your experience.